Sugar Ray Leonard was a great boxer. He had 72 wins and only one loss. He won 41 fights in a row, but that's not what he's most remembered for. In 1980, he had a fight against a man named Roberto Duran. In the 8th round, he looked at the ref and said, "No mess." In Spanish, that means no more. He gave up. He wasn't hurt, the score was close, but Sugar Ray just quit. Today, we're going to have to decide, will we just quit or will we push forward? And we're going to look at some biblical examples, and the first one's going to be in Enoch. Before I continue, I want to give a thanks to my brother and my dad and everyone else who helped me with this sermon, because without them, I wouldn't be up here today. In Hebrews 11, verse 5, it says, "By faith Enoch was taken up, so he should not see death. He was not found because God had taken him. Now before he was taken, he was commended as having pleased God." So it says here that he pleased God. And because of that, he didn't have to see death. And so that's what we're going to talk about today, is the importance of pleasing God. Because to please God, we have to walk with God. So if you turn to Genesis 5, verses 21 through 24, it says, "When Enoch had lived 65 years, he fathered Methuselah. Enoch walked with God after he fathered Methuselah 300 years and had other sons and daughters. Thus all the days of Enoch were 365 years. Enoch walked with God, and he was not, for God took him." So we see here that Enoch walked with God faithfully his whole life. And we're going to talk about 3 stages of Enoch's life that he walked with God. So this first stage of life we see is when he was in his youth, or a young man. And you may know this, but Enoch's name means dedicated. And it's ironic because Enoch is dedicated to God. And we need to be, as young men, we need to be like Enoch and be dedicated to walking with God. And it's so important that we spend our life reading our Bible with the right kind of friends in our church, because we have to walk faithfully with God. Because to please God, we have to walk with God. And then we see in Genesis 5, verse 21, it says, "When Enoch had lived 65 years, he fathered Methuselah." So we see here that Enoch has become a father, and we see that his roles as a father has to change, because he's got to set the right example for his son. He's got to keep that faith going with God so that his son will do that too. And as a father, it's your job to take your family to church and have family Bible studies and watch over your family. But it's important that you yourself have to walk faithfully with God to set the right example for your family. Because to please God, you have to walk with God. And then we see in Genesis 5, it says, "Enoch walked with God after he fathered Methuselah 300 years and had other sons and daughters. Thus all the days of Enoch were 365 years. Enoch walked with God, and he was not, for God took him." So you see here that Enoch has become an older man, and because of it, Enoch had become an older man, and he still walked with God in his old age. And you, as older people, have to keep that faith going. Don't let your health get in the way or get you down. You have to keep walking with God. You can't retire from faithfully walking with God. That's something you have to devote your life to, like Enoch did. Because to please God, you have to walk with God. So now let's look at some other examples in the Bible of people who walked with God. First, let's look at in Genesis 6:9, it says, "Noah walked with God." Note how many times in the account of Noah it says that Noah did everything God commands of him. Noah doesn't care what God tells him, he'll do it anyway. In Matthew 14, 22 through 23, it says Peter walked with Jesus on the water. And as long as Peter stayed focused on Jesus and didn't lose track, he stayed faith and he was fine. He kept that faith going. It was when he stopped focusing on Jesus, that's when he sank in the water. Because to please God, you have to walk with God. Like Noah, we must do what God commands of us, no matter what. Like Peter, we must focus on the Lord no matter what. Like Enoch, Noah, and Peter, we must have faith in God no matter what. Because to please God, we have to walk with God. So what should we do? Well, let me give you 4 things of what to do. Number 1, we must walk in a way pleasing to God. Colossians 1:10, it's about him, not me. Number 2, we must walk rooted and established in the word that we've been taught. because the Bible must be our guide, Colossians 2:6. Number 3, we must walk putting away sinful things, Colossians 3:7. They will only trip us up. And number 4, we must walk with wisdom toward others, showing God in our lives, Colossians 4:5. Sugar Ray Leonard is remembered as one who just quit. Enoch is remembered as one who devoted his life to God. My question for you is, in your walk with God, how will you be remembered? Because to please God, you have to walk with God.